Let's start our today's video with another hazardous topic, that is report writing. And why it is hazardous? Most of the time it is hazardous because of its structure, as students are unable to get how to manage it. So today's video is all about how to write a good report, how to compose it, what are the different requisite or prerequisite parts those we have to follow. Now let's check. First, what is a report? An account given of a particular matter, especially in the form of an official document after thorough investigation or consideration by an appointed person or body. It is written for a specific readership and probably intended to be kept as a record. It is based on observations and analysis. It discusses particular problem in detail. It gives explanation of any circumstances. Reports are required for judging the performance of various departments in an organization. A good report is always fact-finding. Please keep it remember whenever we talk about a report, it should be based upon the fact findings rather than fault finding. We don't have need to find out fault, but we need to find out facts. What are the facts and figures? Must be prepared in an impartial manner, in an outlook and in approach both. An impartial manner means your biased attitude, biased point of view should not be reflected in your report. Whosoever is a reporter, he needs to be impartial in his attitude, in his approach, everything. If you are working on a report and maybe about that organization or about that specific department, you are not satisfied. So you don't have need to show your own point of view. Rather than this, it is better for you to try to find out facts. What are the facts and figures? Maybe later on your point of view will be changed. So please keep it remember an impartial manner you have to write. And by then you have right to mention the suggestions. Let's check what are the advantages of report writing. Why do we write a report? To solve current problems. Updated information will be provided through it. It discloses unknown information, internal communication, reliable, permanent information, decision making and planning. Yes, when you write a report, when you find out any fact and figures finding, by then these facts, and on the basis of these facts and figures, the decision making and planning are pre-planning, it becomes easier for the authorities. Let's check what is the structure of a good report. First and utmost thing, your report must be started with date, then addresses. Addresses means we are talking about the address of the receiver and then the address of the sender. Subject is very important because whenever we talk about reports, so it is what it is basically an official document. So for it, subject is compulsory. And whenever you mention the subject must be underlined. Then we have salutation. For salutation, for instance, respected sir, respected ma'am. And salutation means how you are going to call to someone. Sometime in report, we do not mention salutation direct. Rather than this, we directly start our report through introduction. And then after introduction, you need to mention facts and figures, then findings, conclusion, and last but not least, suggestion, which very important. And please keep it remember, you can use these all headings in your report as well, like introduction, facts and figures, findings. Sometimes people merge findings and facts and figures in a one bullet, what would be the heading. So findings, then conclusion and suggestions, closing is must, yours faithfully, XYZ, etc., etc. So please keep it remember, this is a proper structure of a good report. You have to take a start of report from date, and date is mentioned on the right hand side. and then address on the left margin, everything will be on the left margin. Closing again on the right hand side. So starting and beginning points are right hand side and the remaining parts are on the left hand side. This is, I think, the easiest way to memorize its structure. Check the tips to write a good report. For writing a good report, a very important thing which is must use the punctuation marks correctly after address, salutation, subject, even at the time of closing. You need to be very vigilant because punctuation marks play a significant role in composition. In case you will mention wrong punctuation mark, or you will not mention any punctuation mark correctly, or its right or proper place, then it may convey a wrong meaning. After subject, use colon and underline the subject like it. Subject after subject, you can see the colon is used, then we have mentioned our subject and subject has been underlined. Subject should be of 6 to 9 words. Please keep it, remember, don't try to exceed the limit from 6 to 9 words. It's compulsory. You can see here in our subject 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words we have used. So try to use 6 to 9 words and within a line. Please do not change the line for subject. It is not a good impact. After salutation, apply comma like it, respected sir. Please, most of the time students, they commit this mistake. Rather than comma, they apply mark of exclamation, which is a wrong usage of punctuation mark in report writing. There is another important thing. Sometimes we do not use salutation in report writing. So it depends. In subject, nouns initial should be capitalized like. See, keep it, remember, when we talk about the report's subject, in subject, your whatever the nouns you are using for it, the initial or nouns or even adjective, for them, the initial letter should be capitalized. Then adopt an impersonal style. We have already discussed impersonal mean. Please don't give your own opinion, or don't be so judgmental, or avoid biased statements. Mention suggestions by the end. It's very important. Usually students, they forget to mention suggestions. Give the heading of suggestions and then start writing suggestion. That is your time to write whatever you believe, that whatever you have found under the light of those facts and figures and findings. You can suggest whatever you feel better, but again, don't be biased. Do not forget to properly wrap it up. A very common error which has been found by the students, or they commit this mistake, they, after suggestion, they forget to mention the proper ending signature. For example, yours sincerely XYZ. It's better if you do not disclose your identity. Then structure of an information report or informative report. See, after date, address, subject. We basically title or heading means subject, that what is the topic which we are going to cover. Then introductory paragraph, where you need to explain that the aspect of the topic that will be covered in the report. Body paragraphs, topic of the report is covered in more detailed paragraphs. Use factual information to give the reader a better understanding of the topic. Often these paragraphs are broken up by subheadings, like we have discussed intro, and then we discussed facts, findings, conclusion. Then we have conclusion. Conclusion gives any final details or facts about the topic, may also be used to review what the report was about. And then by then, after conclusion, suggestions, heading of suggestions is compulsory. Now let's check. Let's take an example. This example has been taken from the model paper, which has been published by the Federal Board. the question which was given in it, suppose you are an area reporter of a national daily. It's a newspaper, any type of newspaper. Write a report to the editor on poor drainage system in your area. Students, they usually become very horrified that they cannot understand how to mention the structure, or what should we say, the how to follow its structure. It's very easy, believe you me. In your question of report writing, your each and everything is hidden. It is the easiest question which has been converted the most difficult one due to the misunderstanding or irregular or careless attitude of the students. Please keep it remember, when we write a report, address of the sender and receiver and the subject is already mentioned in the question, in the first 2 to 3 lines of the question. For instance, suppose you are an area reporter of a national daily. So who are you, right? And then to whom you are going to write, it is mentioned, and about what you are going to write, it is also mentioned. Now let's start. You will always take a start your report with date. In date, you will mention, you can mention the date in this way. This is the first way, that like you can mention a month first, then date, after date, comma, and after applying comma, year, then full stop. Or there is another way to mention the date. Then first you can mention the date 21st, and then you have to mention the month, then comma, then year, and then full stop. Then we are moving towards the addresses. When we talk about the address, so first you have to mention the address of the address of whom? Address of the receiver. Let's check. Here it is already mentioned, write a report to. To means already the receiver of the report is mentioned here. So everyone knows how to mention the address of a newspaper editor. To colon, then the editor, comma, then the news, or the XX newspaper, then XX city, or if you want to mention, so I believe that there is no need to mention or disclose your city or the newspaper name. Instead of it, if you mention XX newspaper, XX city is better option. But as I have taken it from the board model paper which is solved, so that's why I have directly taken this example from here, from there. Now see, to whom you are going to write, to the editor, the news, comma, Islamabad, full stop. This red area, the red punctuation marks, please keep it remember why I have used the red color. The reason after these, you need to focus that here it means this is the indicator that your address is still in progress, and by the end, when you have mentioned the city, then you have marked full stop. What does it mean? It means here one address has been completed. Full stop is an indication of the completion of an idea. Then from who has written, who is sending, it is already mentioned. You suppose you are an area reporter, so XYZ you are, and who are you? Area reporter of what? Of our national daily. So it means the news Islamabad. We have mentioned a national daily means any newspaper which has been published on daily basis in your country, right? So the news Islamabad. But the best idea is, rather than the news Islamabad, if we mention XX city, right? Then when we talk about the subject is again hidden. It is already mentioned in your question of the report. Write a report to the editor on. On means here you are going to mention about whom or what is the topic, what is the burning issue about which you are going to write on poor drainage system in area ABC. Again, you will focus that here I have highlighted PDSA ABC, because what does it mean? It means I just simply wanted to make you recall that whenever we mention the subject, it will be underlined first. And secondly, the most important or the noun and the what and adjectives will be used in capitalized letters, right? So what I am trying to prove here, that in report writing, the first part is already hidden in your report already. The addresses and subject, these all parts are mentioned in your report. You need to be very vigilantly. If you focus, you can easily find out the answer. And date is must, which has been mentioned. You have to opt any one way to write the date. Now let's move ahead. Check a few examples. Those will help you out to write or to compose a good sort of report. Here, this is the question. And you can see after matching the date and the addresses, subject, how it has been mentioned here, the introduction, the first heading is of introduction, and it has been introduced that what is the problem, what was wrong with it, right? This is the introduction of your problem, what is the problem is or was, and then the report, that what have you found. In report, basically you have covered facts, figures, findings, then see the conclusion, then we have the heading of suggestions and recommendations. Finally, now see focus. Suggestions and recommendations have been mentioned in points one after one, 4 suggestions. And please keep it remember, whenever we talk about the suggestion, mostly students ask, Miss, how many questions, how many suggestions? Please, at least 3 to 5. Why are we asking about this question, that how many? Of course 3 to 4 compulsorily you have to mention. And by then please focus. Nothing has been mentioned that please publish it, please mention it, please resolve this issue. Do not write such sentences. If you focus after suggestions or recommendations, promptly the writer, the reporter has been signed out, like it has, he has mentioned, signed XYZ or yours faithfully XYZ. Here we have another example. If I share, this is the example which I have taken from a student's paper. You can see when he was mentioning the facts and figures, the findings, he has also shown these all things with the help of graphs or pie chart. So this is also another way to mention the facts and figures, and it is a very good way to mention the report, the finding, the facts and figures in a good way. Creating an information report, whenever, please, after the creation of the report, when you have written, you have composed, please keep a few things in your mind, that usually or generally these reports are written in present tense. And once you have finished, you are done with the report, please go through it, make sure you have mentioned each and every fact and figure, you have mentioned the details, you does not contain personal views. Again, I am asking, please be impartial, impersonal. Always check your text for correct spelling, grammar, punctuation, structure, etc., etc. Then we have how to make your report more worthwhile or more presentable if it is needed. And I think if you want, you can use these. What are these? These use charts. You can use charts, use comparison charts. Here you can see a comparison chart, then bar graphs you can use pie charts. So by using these all, by making, and please use colors as well. And by using these colors and mentioning that, like for instance, if we take the example, you can easily observe everywhere it is mentioned the readings are there. For instance, the last one, favorite type of movie, comedy, action, romance, drama, fiction, non-fiction, etc., etc. Like in the same manner, cost of construction of house, labor 25%, timber 10%, supervision 15%, steel, bricks, cement. So please use colors, and by using color, you need to mention what are you mentioning here, or in the next graph, if you be focused here, that here the colors and then the keys have been mentioned. Keys mean indicator, that if we are talking about red one, so what does it mean? If we are using the blue one, it means we are showing the nationalities. So if by observing these keys, we can easily understand what is the message which has been conveyed. So please try to use these. These can inshallah make your work more worthwhile, and you can get or score better marks. Let's take a quick review. Then please keep it, remember your report will be started with date on right hand side, then addresses, then salutation if you believe that it is needed, then introduction, and then subject as well, of course, then introduction, findings, conclusion, recommendation, or suggestions, then closing. Closing mean how you're going to end it, yours faithfully, etc., etc. From, I think it is more than enough to explain, and whatever has been imparted, hopefully it will be a great help for all of you. And thank you from my side. In case of still having any problem, you do have right to send questions, your queries in comment box. Thank you once again from my side. See you in some other